How's it going, everyone? It's Javi from Mother SpongeBob 1000. Today is March 1st, 2022, so now we have approached the meteorological start of the spring season. As today, we're going to focus on the next potential major snowstorm, so it might not be very welcome considering that we're entering the season of spring, but yeah, we're keeping track of major snowstorms that are going to impact the West Coast, the Midwest, as well as the Northeast. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather lake content. Make sure if you like this video, make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather lake content. So let's begin by taking a look at the radar for the lower 48 at this time, and of course we do have this feature that's located in the Northeast right now, and it's bringing a decent amount of snow showers just to the north of, I'd say, Interstate 84 at this time, where we're seeing snow showers extend through upstate New York, extending to New Hampshire and Vermont, as well as portions of Maine is experiencing some snowfall. However, the snowfall isn't expected to be very heavy, but at least expect some slick road conditions for tonight throughout the interior portions of the Northeast, as the temperatures will be cold enough to support for snow showers as well, and we could see a decent amount heavier amounts of snow showers associated in some of these bands. I'm not saying it's going to be very heavy snow, but it's at least heavy enough to where it could cause some slick conditions in some areas, especially if you're closer to the rain snow line where the snow showers are a little bit heavier. But for the most part, it won't be much of a worry. I'd say you'll probably receive mainly an area of 1 to 3 inches, maybe a localized area where you could receive over 3 inches, and I'd expect it'll most likely be closer to Lake Ontario, where it might get some fuel from the Great Lakes. The atmosphere might get some fuel from the Great Lakes when it comes to convection, but outside of that, this shouldn't be anything major. And outside of what's happening in the Northeast, you see that it's pretty much quiet throughout the United States. We're seeing much warmer than average temperatures throughout the United States, and we are seeing a little bit of isolated showers extend throughout the Pacific Northwest, as there's this low that's going to be very key in creating our next major snowstorm for the West Coast and the Midwest. So we're definitely going to pay close attention to that within the next 24 to 48 hours and even beyond that. So now let's take a look at what the computer models are forecasting. Let's start with the European model, and as you can see, we're seeing this strong ridge that's bringing much warmer than average temperatures throughout the West Coast, and this is expected to extend further eastward into the Midwest and potentially the East Coast as well. So you might experience some spring-like temperatures to start the meteorological start of spring, which is today on March 1st. So that's definitely something welcome for a lot of Americans who've been experiencing just very cold winter all season long. Now we're starting to see temperatures rebound just a little bit throughout the United States, but that won't last in many areas of the United States, because if I were to continue to move forward, you see that this low pressure system I was talking to you guys about will begin to move further southeastward, and it's as a result of this jet stream dip that's bringing somewhat of a strong northwesterly flow that's steering this low pressure system towards the southeast. Now this jet stream dip is significant, so don't expect any sort of rapid intensification associated with this low pressure system, because there isn't enough instability to really create a rapid intensifying low pressure system. However, there is going to be just enough of a jet stream dip and just enough of an unstable environment head into the Great Lakes and Northeast that we're going to see some snow showers develop, I'd say, by the time this low pressure system reaches the Michigan area. And this will most likely be light, but you could experience areas of over 3 inches of snow, potentially 3 to 6 inches in portions of the interior Northeast. So it's definitely something to watch. But more importantly, behind this low pressure system is that this low pressure system will bring somewhat of a stronger northerly flow that'll bring this ridge that's this Arctic ridge further southward, and this ridge also is gonna help bring that cooler air further southward, shift the position of the jet stream, which will allow for more low pressure systems off the British Canadian coast move further southward into the United States for our next major snowstorm to develop throughout the West Coast and the Midwest. So again, let me move back a little bit. You see the low pressure system moves eastward. We see just enough of a strong northerly flow that shifts the jet stream a little bit, just enough further southward to where this ridge will sort of force this low pressure system just off the British Canadian coast further southward, and that's going to allow for a low pressure system to potentially develop into our next major snowstorm, because you see behind this low pressure system we see another big jet stream dip, and we see another low pressure system move onto the California coast, sort of this upper level low, because it sort of separates itself from the jet stream, but it's still a cold core low, so it still should bring cooler than average temperatures throughout California. But this low pressure system is expected to merge with this one and create a stronger low pressure system for our next major snowstorm to develop. And of course, like I've been talking about in this video and in my previous video, temperatures are going to be a lot warmer than average throughout the Midwest. So by the time this low pressure system develops and brings this Arctic air further southward, there's going to be a lot of lift in the Midwest, and just enough lift for a major snowstorm to develop. And if I were to continue to move forward, and by the way, this is right around the weekend, on Saturday you see snow develops. This extends to Wyoming, this extends to South Dakota as well as North Dakota, and we see a 997 millibar low pressure system, which isn't extremely intense, but it's intense enough to where you could receive over 6 inches of snow over a large area of the Midwest, where you do see that the snow extends further northward, where a lot of Minnesota gets involved, even North Dakota. So this is definitely something you want to keep in mind. And not only that, this low pressure system does have a pressure of 995, so maybe there is a little bit of wind associated with this as well. So that's definitely something to keep in mind for northern Midwest, that a major snowstorm is expected to occur. And even earlier than that, look, the higher elevations of California will receive snowfall, which it's been a while for you guys. I remember the last time I really focused in on California when it came to snowfall was right around December. So it's been around 2, almost approaching 3 months since you received major snowfall like this. But you guys are expected to receive another major snowstorm in the Sierra Mountain regions of California. So if you're into skiing, this could be pretty much one last chance for you guys enjoy skiing on top of fresh snow before eventually the spring comes, of course. And you see this snow eventually extends to Nevada, portions of Colorado, especially the higher elevations do get involved, and Utah as well. And we see a major snowstorm move through the northern Midwest by this weekend. So that's something we're going to need to keep in mind. Now, in terms of the snowfall forecast you should expect from these next couple of snowstorms moving through the United States. So let me move on to around the 144 hour mark, 6-day mark. So keep in mind that there's still subject to change, because this snowstorm I'm talking to you guys about that's moving through the northern Midwest is still 5 days out. And of course, with the weather, when forecast is 5 days out, the uncertainty is still relatively high. So you definitely need to take the forecast with a grain of salt. But as of right now, you see that if this scenario were to come for fruition, you see that the northern Midwest would, a large portion of the northern Midwest would experience over 3 inches of snow, 3 to 6 inches. And we do see areas where you're receiving over that in places like Wyoming, the northwestern portion of Nebraska, and the southern portion of South Dakota. You do see that you're experiencing 6 to 12 inches of snow, which is significant snowstorm for you guys. And even Minneapolis could get involved in some snowfall, the extreme northern portions of Michigan. And when it comes to the Northeast, you see that these next two Clipper systems combined are expected to drop right around 3 to 6 inches of snow over your area. So while these Clipper systems moving through might be weak, they might not necessarily be non-impactful either, because you see that still a large portion of the interior Northeast experiences accumulating snowfall up to 6 inches in some areas. So definitely keep in mind with that when it comes to Clipper systems in the Northeast. And along the West Coast, you see the higher elevations of California are easily receiving 6 to 12 inches of snow. Same goes for Nevada, extending to Utah, and the higher elevations of Colorado as well. Definitely something you want to pay close attention to throughout the West Coast and the Midwest. And while I did say that the uncertainty is relatively high when we're talking about storms 6 days out, 5 to 6 days out, it isn't very high in this scenario like it should be for something that's around 6 days out, because if we take a look at what the GFS model is saying, it's a very similar forecast to what the European model is stating, where we do see the same area getting heavy snow, but the small difference is that the snowfall is a little bit further northward in the GFS model than the European model, as the rain snow line is a little bit further northward, and we do see just slightly less snow throughout South Dakota, but still a large area of 3-6 inches of snow, and still areas in the higher elevations of California, Utah, Nevada, you're experiencing well over a foot of snow, and in the Northeast you're in fact experiencing a little bit more snow, where we do see a larger area of over 6 inches of snow extend through Maine, the upstate New York area, as well as New Hampshire and Vermont. So there's definitely a couple of changes, but for the most part, it's very similar and right around the ballpark with what the European model is stating. Of course, we're going to need to wait and see. It really all depends on how much of a jet stream dip we're going to experience to really get a good idea of how powerful this storm will be, because, of course, the more unstable air there is, the more likely we're going to see enough lift in the atmosphere for a powerful snowstorm to develop for the northern Midwest. So it's definitely something we're going to need to pay close attention to over the next several days. The temperatures is going to be another thing. If the temperatures are a lot warmer, then the atmosphere could hold a lot more water vapor by the time the jet stream dip comes, and we'll see a low pressure system that has more precipitation. So that's another factor we need to keep in mind. So definitely gonna need to pay very close attention to this over the next several days. Now, let me show you guys my snowfall forecast. So keep in mind, this is just my opinion. This is just speculation, still subject to change, but 6 to 12 inches in total for the northern Midwest. This extends to the Northeast, where you're experiencing 3 to 6 inches, and 6 to 12 inches over the higher elevations of California, Nevada, Utah, and extending to Wyoming as well. So a large portion of the United States is expected to receive major snowstorms over the next week. So make sure to pay close attention and be aware that there's still uncertainty, but we're more than likely than not going to experience a major snowstorm. So make sure to keep that in mind. But anyways, guys, I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more of the latest content, and I hope you guys have a great day.